The God of your understanding has chosen you, and you've agreed to be here in this space and time to do something that only you can do. Now, I won't stand here to try to tell you what it is, but deep inside yourself, as you take time to uncover and ask yourself some vital questions like, what is it that brings me peace? What is it that brings me joy? What do I love doing? What am I willing to become highly skilled at doing? What part can I play for the betterment of the society and the world in which I want to live? When you begin to ask yourself those real questions, and it doesn't have to be done in a formal way, it can be done just like we're speaking right now. Ask yourself the question, look at how you see yourself in just a year from now, and then go forward. And if you have children, or even if you don't have children now, begin to look at your future beyond the space and time that you are now. Visualize exactly the way that you desire to live.
Marcus Mosiah Garvey, Marcus Garvey, Mosiah Garvey, the great one. Marcus Mosiah Garvey, the lover. Marcus Mosiah Garvey.
Welcome to Black History Month. For the first time ever, you are going to gain a special insight into the philosophy and opinions of one of the greatest men to have ever walked this earth. We are going to be celebrating a remarkable life and legacy over the next 31 days as I bring you the resurrection of Marcus Mosiah Garvey, a series which will be presented by me, Jermaine Brown, featuring 31 brothers from the community, all chosen to resurrect different speeches from Marcus daily. Now, before we get into the speeches, here's what you need to know. Marcus Mosiah Garvey was the founder and organizer of the largest independent black movement in the world, the Universal Negro Improvement Association and the African Communities League. At the heights of success, the organization had a worldwide membership of over 11 million subscribed members. Now, this was an excellent feat, especially when we consider that this happened during a time of no internet, no smartphones, no social media, and in the midst of 2 world wars. Yet he dared to travel the world, even to non-English speaking regions, spreading his message of self-love and empowerment. This was during a time when it was particularly dangerous for black men and women to even wander outside of their own homes. But these factors did not stop the man and the movement, for he had at his disposal unmatched confidence. He did not fear failure. He did not care about the laughter and ridicule thrown his way. For he had a fearless passion for the advancement of black people worldwide that fueled his mission. Now, I'm intrigued to know more about the mind of this man and how he accomplished so much, and what I can take from him that I can apply to my life today. This is program 14 of our series. Today's speech was delivered on August 14th, 1923, and it is titled An Appeal to the Conscience of the Black Race to See Itself. Today's narration is by Brother Pilot of Birmingham, UK, via St. Kitts and Nevis.
You are listening to an honor level production featuring the Resurrection of Marcus Mosiah Garvey series.
It is said to be a hard and difficult task to organize and keep together large numbers of the Negro race for the common good. Many have tried to congregate us, but have failed. The reason being that our characteristics are such as to keep us more apart than together. The evil of internal division is wrecking our existence as a people, and if we do not seriously and quickly move in the direction of a readjustment, it simply means that our doom becomes imminently conclusive. For years, the Universal Negro Improvement Association has been working for the unification of our race, not on domestic national lines only, but universally. The success which we have met in the course of our effort is rather encouraging, considering the time consumed and the environment surrounding the object of our concern. It seems that the whole world of sentiment is against the Negro, and the difficulty of our generation is to extricate ourselves from the prejudice that hides itself beneath, as well as above, the action of an international environment. Prejudice is conditional on many reasons, and it is apparent that the Negro supplies consciously or unconsciously all the reasons by which the world seems to ignore and avoid him. No one cares for a leper, for lepers are infectious persons, and all are afraid of the disease. So because the Negro keeps himself poor, helpless, and undemonstrative, it is natural also that no one wants to be of him or with him. Progress is the attraction that moves humanity, and to whatever people or race this modern virtue attaches itself. There you will find the splendor of pride and self-esteem that never fail to win the respect and admiration of all. It is the progress of the Anglo-Saxons that singles them out for the respect of all the world. When their race had no progress or achievement to its credit, then, like all other inferior peoples, they paid the price in slavery, bondage, as well as through prejudice. We cannot forget the time when even the ancient Britain was regarded as being too dull to make a good Roman slave. Yet today, the influence of that race rules the world. It is the industrial and commercial progress of America that causes Europe and the rest of the world to think appreciatively of the Anglo-American race. It is not because 110 million people live in the United States that the world is attracted to the Republic with so much reverence and respect. A reverence and respect not shown to India with its 300 millions or to China with its 400 millions. Progress of and among any people will advance them in the respect and appreciation of the rest of their fellows. It is such a progress that the Negro must attach to himself if he is to rise above the prejudice of the world. The reliance of our race upon the progress and achievements of others for a consideration in sympathy, justice, and rights is like a dependence upon a broken stick, resting upon which will eventually consign you to the ground. The Universal Negro Improvement Association teaches our race self-help and self-reliance, not only in one essential, but in all those things that contribute to human happiness and well-being. The disposition of the many to depend upon the other races for a kindly and sympathetic consideration of their needs, without making the effort to do for themselves, has been the race's standing disgrace, by which we have been judged and through which we have created the strongest prejudice against ourselves. There is no force like success, and that is why the individual makes all efforts to surround himself throughout life with the evidence of it. As of the individual, so should it be of the race and nation. The glittering success of Rockefeller makes him a power in the American nation. The success of Henry Ford suggests him as an object of universal respect. But no one knows and cares about the bum or hobo who is Rockefeller's or Ford's neighbor. So also is the world attracted by the glittering success of races and nations, and pays absolutely no attention to the bum or hobo race that lingers by the wayside. The Negro must be up and doing if he will break down the prejudice of the rest of the world. Prayer alone is not going to improve our condition, nor the policy of watchful awaiting. We must strike out for ourselves in the course of material achievement, and by our own effort and energy present to the world those forces by which the progress of man is judged. The Negro needs a nation and a country of his own, where he can best show evidence of his own ability in the art of human progress. scattered as an unmixed and unrecognized part of alien nations and civilizations, is but to demonstrate his imbecility and point him out as an unworthy derelict, fit neither for the society of Greek, Jew, nor Gentile. It is unfortunate that we should so drift apart as a race as not to see that we are but perpetrating our own sorrow and disgrace in failing to appreciate the first great requisite of all peoples: organization. Organization is a great power in directing the affairs of a race or a nation toward a given goal. To properly develop the desires that are uppermost, we must first concentrate through some system or method, and there is none better than organization. Hence, the Universal Negro Improvement Association appeals to each and every Negro to throw in his lot with those of us who through organization are working for the universal emancipation of our race and the redemption of our common country, Africa. No Negro, let him be American, European, West Indian, or African, shall be truly respected until the race as a whole has emancipated itself through self-achievement and progress from universal prejudice. The Negro will have to build his own government, industry, art, science, literature, and culture before the world will stop to consider him. Until then, we are but wards of a superior race and civilization, and the outcasts of a standard social system. The race needs workers at this time, not plagiarists, copyists, and mere imitators, but men and women who are able to create, to originate, and improve, and thus make an independent racial contribution to the world and civilization. The unfortunate thing about us is that we take the monkey apings of our so-called leading men for progress. There is no progress in Negroes aping white people and telling us that they represent the best in the race, for in that respect, any dressed monkey would represent the best of its species, irrespective of the creative matter of the monkey instinct. The best in a race is not reflected through or by the action of its apes, but by its ability to create of and by itself. It is such a creation that the Universal Negro Improvement Association seeks. Let us not try to be the best or worst of others, but let us make the effort to be the best of ourselves. Our own racial critics criticize us as dreamers and fanatics and call us benighted and ignorant because they lack racial backbone. They are unable to see themselves creators of their own needs. The slave instinct has not yet departed from them. They still believe they can only live or exist through the good graces of their masters. The good slaves have not yet thrown off their shackles. Thus, to them, the Universal Negro Improvement Association is an impossibility. It is the slave spirit of dependence that causes our so-called leading men, apes, to seek the shelter, leadership, protection, and patronage of the master in their organization and so-called advancement work. It is the spirit of feeling secured as good servants of the master rather than as independents. Why our modern Uncle Toms take pride in laboring under alien leadership and becoming surprised at the audacity of the Universal Negro Improvement Association in proclaiming for racial liberty and independence. But the world of white and other men, deep down in their hearts, have much more respect for those of us who work for our racial salvation under the banner of the Universal Negro Improvement Association than they could ever have in all eternity for a group of helpless apes and beggars who make a monopoly of undermining their own race and belittling themselves in the eyes of self-respecting people by being good boys rather than able men. Surely there can be no good will between apes, seasoned beggars, and independent-minded Negroes who will at least make an effort to do for themselves. Surely the dependents and wards, and may I not say racial imbeciles, will rave against and plan the destruction of movements like the Universal Negro Improvement Association that expose them to the liberal white minds of the world as not being representative of the best in the Negro, but to the contrary, the worst. The best of a race does not live on the patronage and philanthropy of others, but makes an effort to do for itself. The best of the great white race doesn't fawn before and beg black, brown, or yellow men. They go out, create for self, and thus demonstrate the fitness of the race to survive. And so the white race of America and the world will be informed that the best in the Negro race is not the class of beggars who send out to other races piteous appeals annually for donations to maintain their coterie, but the groups within us that are honestly striving to do for themselves with the voluntary help and appreciation of that class of other races that is reasonable, just and liberal enough to give to each and every one a fair chance in the promotion of those ideals that tend to greater human progress and human love. The work of the Universal Negro Improvement Association is clear and clean-cut. It is that of inspiring an unfortunate race with pride in self and with the determination of going ahead in the creation of those ideals that will lift them to the unprejudiced company of races and nations. There is no desire for hate or malice, but every wish to see all mankind linked into a common fraternity of progress and achievement that will wipe away the odor of prejudice and elevate the human race to the height of real godly love and satisfaction.
You have just listened to an Honor Level production.
Time to decode our minds, and we reach one and teach one.
Is getting rough, huh? That's nothing new to us. There's nothing to discuss. Just make adjustments. Time is up. This crazy world we live in. They taking, ain't no giving. Consuming, not producing. We got a problem, Houston. It's worse than genocide. They get inside your mind, trick ya. You thought the finish line was 1999, didn't ya? Try to save the trees, but you can't go green without that black and red. If we gon' get free, we got to change that light bulb in our head.
The end of the world don't mean too much to us. It's a new beginning. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. To us, it's a new beginning. Stock market crashing daily. They say that times are scary. They dollars losing value, but the hood knew that already. The price of gas been rising. At times we can't afford it. The oil supply is leaking, facing a global shortage.
We've just been listening to an appeal to the conscience of the black race to see itself. Originally delivered on August 14th, 1923. This concludes day 14 of our 31-part series. And we would like to thank Brother Pilot for today's narration. Brother Pilot is a groundbreaking broadcast journalist from PCRL, which operated from 1985 to 2004. It laid the ground for many radio stations to follow. Hailing from St. Kitts and Nevis, he witnessed many times of unrest and has over the years worked tirelessly to help establish the Caribbean community. He says that Garvey came into my orbit through the music I listened to, and also some of the teachings of the Rastafari faith. Garvey gave me an understanding of the power of the black man.
This is our legacy, a part of our history. Be proud of who you are, for you're a shining star for the world.
the whole wide world to see, to see.
In this series, we are paying homage to Marcus Mosiah Garvey, as Black History Month is all about celebration. So join me to give a few shout outs, starting with Garvey's parents, Mama Sarah Jane Richards and Pops Marcus Garvey Sr. We also want to pay homage to those esteemed ancestors who paved the way for Marcus to appear on the world stage. We also pay homage to the graduates of the School of African Philosophy and all of the founding members and supporters of the UNIA. Last but not least, we pay special homage and tribute to his esteemed wife, Amy Jakes Garvey, who was a formidable leader in her own right. Mrs. Garvey kept her husband's legacy alive, and it is partly because of her loving efforts that we can share this groundbreaking series with you today. Tune in tomorrow at the same time for the resurrection of Marcus Mosiah Garvey, with me, Jermaine Brown. I'm going to leave you with the famous anthem that Marcus Garvey and the UNIA members had wanted to be adopted as the universal anthem for Black people across the globe. Let's take a moment to listen and feel free to wave your red, black and green flag should you have one.
Up your mighty race, you can accomplish what you will.
Ethiopia, thou land of our fathers, thou land where the gods love to be. A storm cloud at night suddenly gathers, all armies come rushing to thee. We must in the fight be victorious, when swords are thrust outward to gleam. For us will the victory be glorious, when led by the red, black and green. Advance, advance to victory, let Africa be free. Advance to meet the foe, advance to meet the foe, with the might of the red, the black and the green, with the might of the red, the black and the green. O Jehovah, thou God of the ages, grant unto our sons that need the wisdom thou gave to thy sages when Israel was sore in need. Thy voice to the dim past has spoken, Ethiopia shall stretch forth her hand. By thee shall all fetters be broken, and heaven bless our dear motherland. Advance